Okay, so let's get started. What happened on day 85? Well, this is the 12th week since the Russians have been in Ukraine, and Zelensky addressed students, and he would ask them questions like, do you want to continue living in Ukraine? And it's a reasonable question to ask of students in Ukraine because the country isn't in a bad shape. So he told them, look, our institutions didn't break down, the banking sphere works, the budget system works, defense and logistics are insured. And he's right. He kept the lights on, and that alone was a huge achievement. Now, he continued, he said this: perhaps you've seen how two Forbes articles are compared. Very interestingly, the headline of February 12th, Will Russia Invade Ukraine? And the headline of May 16th, just a few months later, which said, Will Ukraine's army invade Russia? That's a great thing for him to highlight. It's a very smart thing for him to highlight because the tables have turned. It's not that Ukraine is necessarily going to win, but the balance of power has shifted. So just keeping the lights on, just keeping the internet connected so he could talk to the rest of the world was a major victory. Okay, so the war is far from over at this point, but it reminded me of the Ukrainian national anthem, which the first line of it says, Ukraine has not perished, neither her glory nor her freedom. Now, I just find that the momentum shifting has been inspiring. Okay, shelling's heavy in Sumy. The Ukrainian fighters that surrendered in Mariupol, there's at least 1,730, according to the Russian authorities. Now, I don't necessarily trust the Russian authority, but at the same time, the Ukrainians seem to be confirming this. Now, in his last speech of the day, Zelensky talked about the quote, brutal and absolutely pointless bombing of Severodonetsk. He got this part wrong. It was brutal. The bombing was not pointless. The bombing always precedes an infantry invasion. And so they're just softening up their targets because if they can destroy the city, then you can't have, it's harder for snipers or resistance once, the city is destroyed. So the bombing precedes invasions, and that was going to be the focus. This city, Severodonetsk, is going to be the focal point of the invasion. According to the UK Ministry of Defense, a Russian lieutenant general and his admiral have been relieved. So the Russian general was dismissed for failing to take Kharkiv. The Ukrainians have recently essentially pushed the Russians out of Kharkiv proper and then mostly to the border, not completely, but mostly. There's about half, maybe a third remaining in Kharkiv Oblast. And the admiral that was dismissed, he was dismissed for the loss of the Moskva, the ship that sank in the Black Sea. Ukraine's first war crimes trial today, they asked for a life sentence of imprisonment, and there are two additional Russian soldiers that are going to be tried very shortly. Okay, in political news, the G7 met today, and they are going to provide $18.4 billion in additional aid, which is good because they have to have certain things. They have to have weapons, they have to have energy, they have to have money in order for things to function. And the U.S. Senate voted to approve $40 billion aid package, 86-11. Every Democrat in favor, most Republicans. It wasn't even close. Um, Now, there was some bad news as well. German Chancellor Schultz, just like French President Macron did a little while ago, Chancellor Schultz said there are no shortcuts on the way to the EU. The accession process is not a matter of a few months or years. So he's kind of pulling the brakes on whether they're going to get in early. Now, Ukraine has planned to become part of the EU. They've been running headlong into the arms of the EU, and the Russians are planning to make large sections of Ukraine part of Russia. So it's kind of a horse race to see who can get where first. The Russian appointed governor of Kherson, 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 claimed that, quote, we will become the Kherson region of the Russian Federation. So it's pretty clear what they're planning to do. Okay, that's all that I have for today. Please watch tomorrow's video right here. Thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful for your understanding of what was going on in Ukraine today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe so that you can see what's going on in future days, or you can go back into our past catalog and see what's happened on previous days. Okay, one more thing. If you were moved by this video and you wish to give to humanitarian aid for Ukraine, there's a link below to Samaritan's Purse. It's a reputable organization that will make sure that the aid gets where it's supposed to go. Thanks for your time.